we cut open the one unit, open it up. It was full of trash. And when I say trash, I don't mean like junk and whatever. I'm talking about trash bags that were torn open, empty Slurpee cups, straight trash. I really believe this woman created these storage units to raise mice.
This is the Cash Flow Digest. My name is Matt Faircloth, and me and the DeRosa team are here for you guys on a weekly basis with this podcast, YouTube video, and broadcast recording. This is also live on our Facebook group, DeRosa Insiders. In whatever medium you're watching, please take a minute and like this content. Leave a comment and leave it a review. We really appreciate you guys doing that. We're going to be talking about all things real estate and all things cash flow because our company is dedicated to transforming lives through real estate, and cash flow can do that. We're going to be talking about things that are affecting the real estate industry, news in the real estate investing world. We're also going to be bringing on guests that are crushing it in the cash flow sector of real estate investing. If you guys want to join and watch the show live, please go to Facebook and look up DeRosa Insiders and join that Facebook group where we record this show every Friday at noon Eastern. Hope to see you guys there. This is Matt Faircloth. We got a great show planned for you guys today. Got some great stuff coming up here. You guys that are watching the recording of this or watching this on our DeRosa Group YouTube page. This program is a weekly program. This is a lunch and learn program. This is going to be more of the DeRosa team joining you guys and talking all kinds of stuff, real estate. And this is a variety show, right? So we've got an awesome guest coming to you guys today. How are you today, brother?
I'm doing great, man.
I'm grateful to have you on board, man. I owe you either a steak dinner or a favor, or, like whatever you need. I am at your beck and call next time you need me, brother. Thank you so much for your contributions to the DeRosa community.
Absolutely, man. Glad to be here. It's a good way.
Sergio is going to tell us a little bit about self-storage and that, but because it's Friday, we're going to have a little bit of fun and swap some crazy stories and hear all about what's amazing about self-storage. But then we'll also talk about just stuff you can't make up that maybe happens in the self-storage world. Tell us real quick, what is self-storage investing and how is it that your company plays in that space?
Yeah. So self-storage is kind of a multifaceted business tied to real estate. So when we think about real estate, there's obviously bricks and sticks, but then there's also a service component. So self-storage is a service that it runs parallel with life. Self-storage during good times is a service that people need to transition potentially between households, between life experiences, growing in terms of lifestyle, expanding lifestyle, all the things that come along with it. During bad times, there are four main things that happen in bad times: downsizing, divorce, dislocation, and death. They're unfortunate parts of life, but be it as it may, self-storage has a place that serves a need there. It is a solution to a lot of, whether it be decluttering to sell your home, storing inventory for a business, you name it, all the things that come along with it. It's a service that is there. It works really well with multifamily, with renters, where they're not necessarily having all the space they need in an apartment. You guys know this really well. Self-storage serves a purpose there as well. From an industry perspective, it is a growing service in the sense that about 15 years ago, we had 8% of the US population using self-storage. That has grown to 11%. From a real estate perspective, it's pretty easy. You buy land, there are improvements on it, whether it's drive-up storage, whether it's multifamily, climate control. There's that real estate component to it. The unfriendly parts and property taxes and insurance and those types of things. But from a business perspective, it's a service. People can find online self-storage near me, utilize technology, mobile phone to move in, get access to a storage unit, store their stuff in pretty short order. And then also you get it set up on auto payment. It's kind of a subscription service, no long-term contracts. It's month-to-month leases. From a business owner perspective, very little overhead in the sense of there's no toilets, there's no plumbing really, unless you have sprinkler systems, but otherwise no running water. Electricity is just for gate system, LED lights, that type of thing. We don't have tenants in the sense that people are living there. Most cases, we'll talk about that when we get to the horror stories about people not necessarily living in or living
not supposed to be.
Not supposed to be. But otherwise, it's a pretty low overhead business. Our give you an idea, stabilized expense ratios hover around 35%.
On multifamily, we can range in the 50 to 60% range, meaning, guys, for every dollar that a multifamily property brings in, 60% of that money could end up going to just paying bills, not even paying my mortgage, paying my bills, paying my maintenance staff and my overhead and my insurance or whatever. So 35% of the dollars that come in on self-storage go towards paying bills. That's pretty
35%. Cool. And obviously property taxes is a nice chunk of that. You can go all over the map when it comes to payroll and things like that. But basically you're paying for technology, operational efficiencies and that kind of thing. So to finish up wrapping off the beauty of self-storage is because it's month-to-month contracts, we operate under lien laws, not tenant landlord act. So what that means is I have a lien on your personal belongings when you move into one of my units. So think about from a collateral perspective, when you're buying a property, the property itself is collateralized. When you're leasing a unit, your personal belongings are collateral for me to claim to get paid my rent. 60 days typically, and it depends on the state, you don't pay your due or your balance, we can lock you out of your unit and then auction off your stuff. You can either be made whole or we auction off your stuff. If we make more than you owe, you get the balance back. If we get less, then it's a write-off. And along the way, there's revenue management. So we're able to change prices dynamically, day of the week, seasons, that kind of thing. So it's a beautiful industry, works very well with multifamily. In fact, we follow multifamily and renter trends. That's where we like to play. Beautiful roll-up strategies. We've got our own brand, Hearthfire Self-Storage. So every store that we take on kind of looks like a franchise model. Gets right bolted onto the brand, one website, you pick your location. So I can go on and on.
I got it. I got a few questions coming from the audience here. What are a few cap rate ranges for self-storage? Vince wants to know for these deals.
Yeah, so it like every other asset class, it depends on the location. It depends on the quality of the product. A Class A facility that's just come online, that's stabilized, maybe 3 years old, is probably going to trade in the mid 4s to 5. Something in a tertiary market that isn't heavily populated, isn't a newer product, is probably going to trade in the 7s and 8s. The thing that we have going on now is cap rates are still, there's still a lot of negative leverage out there, meaning the interest rates that we are getting on our properties are higher than the cap rates they're trading at. That's because there's a lot of money coming into self-storage. It's considered a safe haven from an investment standpoint. We're actually in conversations with one of the larger institutional private equity firms out there that is getting their clock cleaned in office and some retail and even some multifamily. And now they're redirecting money into self-storage because of how well it does during the down markets.
Yeah. Okay. And it's typical, just like multifamily, where you're going to get in, you're going to value add it. It's not a cash flow day one play, just like multifamily. What are some ways that you tweak self-storage to get that performance cap rate from a 4 up into the mid to high single digits, or maybe even higher?
Yeah. So the ideal scenario is what we call under management or mismanagement. That's where an operator has 100% occupancy, and why that's not a good thing is because it means you're pricing below what it should be, and your occupancy is too high. Our stabilized peak occupancy, we like to see it at 92%. Lately, it's been last couple of years, even the REITs are hovering 94, 95%, and their tenants are sticky. So we're not able to get off that number. Our typical strategy is to find the lowest hanging fruit type of value add, implement our technology platform, maybe our marketing. Revenue management is a big one. The product differences in multifamily, and I come from the multifamily world, hence why familiarity there. You can take two buildings that are right across the street from one another, and both have 2-bedroom, 1-bath units, but the finishes are different in one. You got granite here, you got really nice fixtures here. The price premium is going to be different, newer buildings and all that. You ever seen the inside of a storage unit? They all look the same, right? It's sheet metal and that's it, and concrete floor. So our price premiums from in any given market really come down to marketing. It comes down to technology. Customer experience is a big thing. So we love that from a value add. That's not very common these days. The rest of it comes down to can we expand? Is there enough demand in a market or size of a facility where there's enough land to increase the number of units and net rentable square feet? We typically don't have the CapEx improvements that you would see using that same example. We don't have countertops to replace, right? If you're buying a facility and it's got leaky roofs, that's not going to generate any additional revenue. So it's really on the back end efficiency. Can we drive revenue by reducing expenses? In most cases, that is buying multiple facilities, single manager to span those, drive down payroll, that kind of thing. Outside of that, the yields are in ground up.
Multifamily gets talked about from a replacement cost standpoint, right? So if I'm buying a multifamily asset, and to build that asset, I would pay $250,000 a unit, and I can buy it for $100,000 a unit. As I understand it, self-storage, is the equation flipped where the cost to build is typically less than acquisitions because of the money you make from self-storage once it's up and running?
Yeah. So for the most part, we need to know the supply and demand in a given market. If the demand, and just for the folks here, about 8 square foot per capita is considered where supply and demand are met, meaning
8 square foot per capita.
Yeah. So if you've got a market that's got 100 people and it's got 8, simple math, 8 square feet of self-storage, then you can't add another 8 square foot. You'll be at 16. You're kind of
you're over the market.
Right. But if I'm below that, if I'm in a market with 50,000 people, and I'm not going to do the math here, and the square foot per capita is 4, I know that between 4 and 8, I can add that much net rentable square feet and still have demand. Now those metrics are the national average. Every market's different.
If you're paying $125 a square foot to build it, what do you project revenue to be on temperature controlled multi-story space like that?
So it's typically going to be about $15 a square foot average for the entire facility. That's annual. So, but the payback period, and with the operating expenses, the operating expense ratio being so low, the payback period is a much shorter period of time.
No, that's great though, guys. What I like about that is I'm a simple man. And so I still use in my multifamily world, and I won't say no or yes to a deal, but if I see a deal that performs at the 1% rule, I'm like, okay, that's at least a sniff test, quick lick of the thumb to see if it even makes fiscal sense to look at it again. I get interest rates have changed, operating expense ratios have changed. There's a lot more that goes into it. But what you're saying, if I'm making $15 a square foot per net lease on the building, and I'm building the building for $125 a square foot, I am over the 1% rule. I like that.
Absolutely.
Sergio, tell me a few interesting or crazy, you better be sitting down to hear this story, self-storage stories that you got while we so we can all enjoy our Friday together with a laugh or with a whatever you got.
So I got a couple off the top of my head.
Go ahead.
One is we're actually dealing with right now. We had our first storage facility. We had a tenant that, and you don't find, a lot of times you don't find this stuff out until they go into auction. We moved into our facility in Bird in Hand. This was back in 2019. A lot of tenants were coming in and they were complaining about a cat lady. And we were like, all right, well, who's this cat lady? And apparently this woman was living in her car, and whether or not she was in a unit, I don't know anything about that. So she disappeared. She had 6 total units that she had rented, and was past
living in her car and running 6 units from you guys.
Yeah. Wow. And well, she stopped paying. So I don't know what came first. This was right as we took over. And so we cut open the one unit, open it up. It was full of trash. And when I say trash, I don't mean like junk and whatever. I'm talking about trash bags that were torn open, empty Slurpee cups, straight trash. There's nothing to auction here. We cut open the second unit, another one, same exact thing. And what we found was common was mice droppings everywhere. My wife thinks I'm nuts. Corinne thinks I'm crazy, but I really believe this woman created these storage units to raise mice. There was cat food. It was all indications that if you read what are mice attracted to, it was in there. Shelter, like, soft stuff and whatever. So we literally had to get a dumpster and
get all her mess out of there.
We didn't see any cats.
She took the cats with her in her car.
Yeah, I don't know where the cat lady part came from. Still to this day have no idea. So that was one. That was a welcome to self-storage type of story right there. It was pretty nasty. We had another guy. This one's not as bad, but I feel bad for the family. Older guy, paid his rent every monthly like clockwork. He claimed to be into antiques, but he just collected a lot of junks. He had 11 storage units. His bill was about $1,500 a month, and he just collected. And every day he just brought more and more. And every time he exceeded a unit, he'd move into another one. I don't have an eye for antiques. I highly doubt it was worth what he thought it was worth. Yeah. He was older, so I can see the story passing away, and then somebody's going to have to handle that.
Have you ever had someone abandon a storage unit, and then there was something of enough interest in the storage unit that you've decided to purchase it yourself?
No, we can't do that by law. We're not, we have
to auction it off.
Yeah, we can put it up for auction, but
can't you bid on the auction?
Possibly, but I don't.
We wouldn't want to do that.
We never have. We were about to auction off a unit. We opened up the unit, and it was a beautiful old Jaguar in there, and we didn't auction it off. Now, when it comes to vehicles, there's a whole different thing. You got to have the title
and all that.
Another unit we opened it up it looked like a World War II veteran. We had long rifles in there, ammo, all kinds of stuff. Now, typically our lease states you're not supposed to do this. Again, this was an inherited tenant. They ultimately paid because this unit was worth a lot of money. They ultimately paid and eventually got their stuff out.
I'll bet. Yeah. And that's what you hope for. Like, you're not in the business to like get people's stuff and, capitalize on it, which is why you got to auction it off. And I guess that's what you want them to just pay their rent and take their possessions. And, if they want to move out, take it somewhere else, Yeah.
No, I'll tell you a story that we're actually dealing with right now. We're changing the configuration of one of our facilities in Indiana, and it's got some big giant storage or warehouse units that we're going to break down into smaller units. And what we recently learned is that one of the storage units is being used as a social club for a biker gang.
Oh no.
And and so the manager is going to handing a letter saying, hey, we need you to clear this out. And the guy saying, I don't necessarily agree with that. If there's going to be a problem, I can have some of my buddies down here from New York. And so it's just like, oh, dear God.
Here we go.
Yeah. So we're kind of putting together our own little task force. Like, all right, how do we deal with this, right? Where does the law come in and whatever? So it's not all.
They probably got a bar and poker tables and the whole thing going on in there, right?
Yeah, no idea. All I said is just be very careful how we deal with this.
I didn't get a chance to ask you this when we had you on the mastermind, but do you do any surface parking leasing? Like, let's say somebody's got a boat, somebody's got an RV, somebody's got, I've heard like a thing is light industrial surface parking leasing, meaning like, I got a backhoe or like a paving machine that I need to keep somewhere. Does your company do that kind of storage as well? Or are you mostly indoor housed roof storage?
Our attempt is to always maximize revenue. If we've got parking there, boat and RV is certainly part of that. You can get into dedicated Class A boat and RV canopy parking with solar panels, trickle charges, and all that. We've got some units where you can park that stuff indoors. In our Indiana properties, where we're right off of Lake Michigan, we do have some boat parking there. It's right on the yard. They sign a waiver. We're not responsible for their stuff. So absolutely, we do that.
Good. If you think of what rentals are doing here, it is providing some sort of physical real estate and allowing people to use it for a short period of time for whatever use it's lined up for. That could be for a factory, that could be for a retail store, could be for an office building, could be for multifamily, or could be self-storage for people to keep their stuff, right? And so it could also be a surface parking lot for people to keep their RV or their boat or whatever it is. A lot of different ways to make money in real estate, guys, and self-storage is certainly one that's prominent, not going anywhere as an industry in this country. So, Sergio, people want to hear more about your company, Hearthside. If they want to reach out to you direct, how would they do that?
So our website's hfireholdings.com or hfire capital. Easy way to remember finding all of our resource, Invest with Sergio. If you find me on LinkedIn, you could connect with me that way. I'm not as big active on Facebook. I do have an account. I'm not a big social media guy, but connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to help you. Any questions you want to dive into any of this stuff a little bit more, I'd be happy to. We also do, because of the team that we have, big industry REIT veterans. If anybody has a deal that they're looking at or considering for themselves, I'm always happy to share my resources and take a look at it and tell me, hey, is this something worth looking at, or what questions to ask? I like to teach people how to fish. So I'm always big into, these are the questions to ask. And
I commend you for that, man. You're cut out of the same sale that I am, that it's really about helping other people, and that pay it forward and it comes back, right?
Yeah.
So good stuff, guys. Reach out to Sergio if you guys want to hear more about what he has to offer, to learn about self-storage or to consider a passive investment in self-storage. This is the one in the business you guys want to talk to. Sergio, thank you for joining us on the Chats with Matt program today. I hope to have you back on again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend, everybody.
See you, brother. Guys, it was a great conversation. Really what I got today out of that was that self-storage, as I said before, is not going anywhere. It's way less of an emotional play that multifamily can be. In a lot of ways, multifamily is really about, like, there's the heart of it, the housing, transforming lives through real estate. And it's not that self-storage is not that, but self-storage can be more nuts and bolts, more data, and in some ways can make it a little bit easier, with regards to how to evaluate self-storage and decide if you want to go up or down with it. There's a lot of market data you can harness to determine whether or not you got a good self-storage deal or not. And it's a great thing to learn from. And Sergio is one of the best in the business. And it's an honor to have him here on the Chats with Matt program and joining you guys here on the free DeRosa Insiders Facebook page. If you guys want to hear more interviews that we have here on DeRosa Insiders, join and ask your questions live. Sometimes come on and join me in live chat with me face to face. Hear more things real time as they're coming up in the industry, and keep your ear to the ground. Join us at DeRosa Insiders right now. Go to Facebook and join DeRosa Insiders, and I hope to see you guys there. See you guys next Friday, noon Eastern. Every DeRosa Insiders program is at noon Eastern on Fridays. So say you. We polled you guys to ask when you wanted to have it, and people confirmed Fridays at noon is when you guys want us. So that's what we'll continue to go live for you guys here on the DeRosa Insiders page. Yet another great show. Super, super grateful to have you guys as part of our community. And take care, guys. See you soon. Hey guys, Matt Faircloth here. Thank you for listening again to the Cash Flow Digest. I really appreciate you guys doing that. If you guys want to hear more about what DeRosa Group has to offer, go to DeRosa Group, DeRosa Group.com, DeRosaGroup.com online. You can hear about all the great things that we offer from an educational standpoint and passive investment standpoint on our website. See you there. And if you guys want to join our online community, DeRosa Insiders on Facebook, where you can watch this program get recorded every Friday at noon Eastern, and you can come on as even a guest or ask questions on the show. We hope to see you guys on our online community, DeRosa Insiders. See you there.